Answers of an Alien from Andromeda, Video 127, December 25, 2014. Back to my terrain friends. Our fleet was called for a general meeting with a CG board in Taos planet. The first landing on the planet altogether with 18 other races. It was a great fellowship, and lots of information and criteria were passed to all who are working in several areas of support. We were a bit isolated because Taos will be with his strong force field shielding until we positioned in its final orbits, and that isolated some of our signs. Before you ask, I will give a brief description of Taos. It is a very beautiful and well-structured planet, has oceans between the continental regions forming cutouts with thousands of coastal islands and lots of greenery with samples from all over the galaxy. Say it is almost as beautiful as Manchik, only has a more modern design. They have several sites of loading and unloading, and any kind of pollution is spread by the environment or atmosphere. The agricultural areas are fully automated and with perfectly controlled climate. There is plenty of everything. Any industrial unit have protective domes and its industrial and chemical waste is directed to terminals connected to the transfer portal. These unloading terminals have their piers placed on the surface of the sun in which the planet is orbiting, and all debris are automatically destroyed without causing any damage to the system. I can say it is a beautiful place. They took this planet with fertile soil and firm composition, orbiting a star in a not habitable zone, and took him to the place where it was refurbished and virtually transformed into a tropical paradise with features of a modern spacecraft. An extremely interesting and creative technology. Many possibilities for transfer of technology to your planet in the near future. Mythy, strange reactions were observed in our sun these days. Could you tell us what would it be? These anomalies observed by your equipment is energy discharges of the solar surface made by crew lines to soften the gravitational variations in the system realignment period. Discharges in the sun center line tend to unload the excess of tension to the poles, and it aligns the geomagnetic center, facilitating the calculations of orbital loads of planets involved in the planned alignment. The fact that you can see the adjustments being made is a great proof of the CG work, just will not see that those who do not really want to admit. Mythy, much remains said to be time jumps to the past or for the future. I know I've talked about it, but could illustrate a little bit it? Friends, understand that the physical matter through the time wears, and becomes basic elements again. Life in 3D is not like a movie being recorded in real time to be passed again and again when someone settle back in time to see it all happening again. The past is like a radio wave that ends when the show is over, no longer exists. How could you go for something that no longer exists, which has turned to dust? The only thing of the past that you can see is that archaeology can provide, and the records and recordings made by races who have been here for millions of years which CG managed to save and archive in their data systems. Therefore, any claim of travel in time to the past or future is the most impure untruth. I hope this has been understood at last. Just as a curiosity, if you have a year as the time taken for your planet for a ride to your sun, it is doing 4,589,113,025 years old, because he did not always orbited the sun with the same angular velocity. At first, the years were shorter because the speed was higher and the orbiter was nearest the sun. With the passage of time and the accident that formed your moon, The Earth's orbit turned away from the Sun and the speed was decreased. Only with this new orbit the planet entered the habitable zone for animals and plants thrive. Mithy, there are still many speculations about Nibiru. Could you give us some more data about it? See, the crew lines towed the Nibiru system to an orbit at 52 AU from your Sun outside the region that you guys called Kuiper Belt. The only real influence of the star system is Nibiru with your solar system. It does not lack for any other point of balance, so can be placed in its original route at any time the CG so decides. The Nibiru system is not included in the alignment plans being drawn up, so I believe he can stay where it is for a few thousand years. When star systems like yours are reorganized, many details that made the system reaches the point of a reorganization is no longer needed because the future of the system is being redesigned for the humanoid cultures can develop the best possible way in the new environment. It's how you remove the stones and the weeds of your garden, so that best quality plants can grow without being harassed by them. The Nibiru system has fulfilled its role in the last 100 million years, now it is no longer necessary in the new scenario of your solar system. In the current reality, which you guys can see, besides the planet Taos being moved, some large objects called gravitational counterweights that may still be used for the stabilization of the system elements and large force fields generated by crew lines and aldebarans to control gravitational tunneling system relating to the solar gravitational field. Comets and asteroids will always be going regularly between system planets, but its danger will be under control now on. The Community Galactica just cannot intervene with the inherent adjustments to own planets as the top growth in the case of your planet and the subsequent rearrangement of the oceans, poles and atmosphere for the new profile of the planet for the next thousands of years. CB told me about a conversation he had with a friend Pleiadian of Taos few days ago, and they are doing a great job infiltrates in your society. Follow the tips he gave as CB will put here for those that not previously seen. December 23, friends, I am unable to contact Mithy, it seems some sort of interference. He always notified when he have some free time to come and talk, but the days have passed without contact. I managed to chat a bit with Arthur, as Pleiadian calls himself, and he said that the move is large, with many meetings between members of the CG about the realignments in the stage of the system, and possibly the Manchik personnel are pretty busy. He warned that the climate may become more destabilized and recommended us great caution. Also commented on the political instability since the two factions of power on the planet already crossed the Rubicon and can only walk for a power struggle, and they are accompanied closely this time of tension. He should maintain contact, he said will keep his cell phone lysate for any scrap of urgency with us. That said, I think not to mention more about what has been reiterated by Pleiadian friend. I hope you all are well, and that trust in the guidelines being adopted by the CG. CB asked me to our research unit on the planet Pluto keep the lights all lit, for the arrival of your probe in July. It seems they will start shooting the planet with some resolution from next month. I'm sure that the command of the fleet will not be against it. We will see. I appreciate the interest shown by you guys for the health of Tyce. She is very well and is already in service again, now a little more careful and experienced. Our fleet received several guidelines for new assignments and we quite work this time, but I keep in touch whenever possible to keep them informed. Be well.